What is up? Welcome. This is Freed's first time whiskey reviews. My name is Freed, and today we're not doing any reviews, unfortunately. Sorry, so no musical pairing either. But we are going back to my old Sunday ritual where I check out my whiskey collection and I find a few things that have a couple things in common, and I put them together for a blind head-to-head challenge. And I finally have managed to get my hands on enough IBs with similarities to do something like this. And IB just means independent bottler. That means just a separate company bought some barrels from a distillery, either further matured them in whatever barrel they wanted to, or just released that under their name, basically, in a nutshell. And some of these you might recognize, some of them you might not. I will introduce you to these in a moment. And but what these do have in common, in case you were curious, is that they are all independently bottled. They are all cask strength. They all spent time in first fill ex-bourbon, and a couple of them, half of them, spent a little bit of time in sherry barrels as well. So that's basically and they're all non-peated. If that does make a huge difference. But in case you're curious, they are all non-peated. So let's look at the players here, shall we? So first we have the Ian McLeod's As We Get It Highland. This is 62.3% ABV. It doesn't have an age statement. It just said it was matured for many years. It is all natural, which is another thing they all have in common. And they boast the saying that no bottles are the same. No two bottles are the same. So each iteration of the As We Get It line, which also has a peated or an Isla version as well, never comes from the same distillery. And this one was bottled on April 2021. Then they won't tell you where it's from. So that information is in the wind. I have no idea. So that is contestant number one. And I do believe that one did spend some time in some sherry barrels as well. Next, we have the Glen Murray 12-year-old. This was matured in American Standard barrel, which is just an ex-bourbon barrel. It's 53.8% ABV. It is a single barrel as well. And this is a Chinese distribution only. This was distributed by a Sichuan company named Jiuyijia Trading Company. So I very much doubt you can get your hands on this unless you are in China or you just, have your finger deep in the pulse of the whiskey world. So that's that for this one. Next up, we have, now this I'm kind of excited about. This is another Chinese independent bottling company called Joy Whiskey Group, and that's out of Shanghai as well. And this is 54.4% ABV. This is 15-year-old, cask strength, naturally presented, so no chill filtration, no artificial coloring, bourbon matured only Dalmore. That shit has never touched a sherry barrel in its life. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Very cool. Moving on. And the next one you might recognize as well is from the Blackadder International out of Glasgow. Although this is a exclusively for China bottle anyway. This is called the Black Snake, this is essentially, and if you look at the label, it says single malt Scotch whiskey, VAT number 18, third venom. Now what that actually means is that they essentially have created like a Solera system. They'll fill, I don't even know how many, but first fill ex-bourbon barrels, then they'll take 3 of those barrels, and put them in first fill PX or first fill Oloroso sherry barrels. And then when it's for 1 year. And then when the bottling time comes, they will drain 2/3 of those sherry barrels and bottle them. And then they will fill them back up with the aforementioned ex-bourbon. And each time they bottle is considered a venom. And this is the third venom out of VAT number 18. They do switch out the sherry barrels from time to time because, it's going to get exhausted eventually, right? So they do switch them out, but they haven't given any information as to how often. So there's that. So there are all of the players. I'm pretty excited about this. There is a bit of a color difference, as you can possibly see. So picking which one is which is kind of been, the difficulty has been slightly cut in half. So there is that. So there's nothing else to do but begin. So let's do this. Now, I be off. Whoa, no, 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 no. Now, IB off. Done and done. I do believe I have a decent guess as to which ones they are, and I absolutely have my preferences. And I'm going to read you my notes and see if maybe if you've tried these before, if you recognize any of them. So as my order, it goes. This one is the best. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's pretty easy to distinguish which ones just by flavor and nose alone. Let alone the color, which ones spent time in sherry barrels and which ones were completely ex-bourbon. Very, very easy. And my number 1 and number 2, I think, are the ones that spent a little bit of time in sherry barrels. And the other 2, the third and fourth, those are the Chinese independent bottlers. Now, this begs the question. Is this an indication of the Chinese palate? Because did they actually go to these distilleries and taste some of these barrels and be like, yeah, that's the one, dude, that's the one? Or did they just say like, hey, Mr. Glen Murray, please, I want to buy one of your barrels, please. And they just said, okay, well, here's this one. And they sent it over without even having tasted it before. I'm really thinking it's probably the latter of those two, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't find any more information online stating otherwise. So, so I really don't have anything to say about that. So, anyways, my notes for number 1. Butterscotch fudge, slight spent match, petrichor, butter, rum raisin, and a little bit of mint I got there at the end. On the palate, rich, hot, burnt sugar, stewed fruits, and moon pie. I don't know if a moon pie is the same thing everywhere or if maybe we only have them stateside, but a moon pie is like a chocolate-covered marshmallow cookie sandwich. It's like 2 thin cookies with a marshmallow filling that had been dipped in chocolate. That's what I'm getting out of that. Moon pie. And on the finish, I got burnt sugar. It's about medium to long, pecan pie, and slightly bitter. Let's see. Number 2, on the nose, I got fresh pineapple. This is my favorite nose. I just wish that the nose and the palate were a little bit closer. The fresh pineapple, lemongrass, vanilla, candy banana / circus peanut, and tropical fruits. On the palate, I put sweet that went directly into like wet rocks, bitter, and like a sugar-free pineapple candy is what I got on that. The finish was medium, very bitter, unsweet cocoa powder. Number 3. This was the winner. Big butterscotch / Werther's Originals vibes. Lemon vanilla butter cookie. On the palate, rich sherry vibe, flat cherry coke, cough syrup, hotter than number 2. And again, I got a little bit of mint. And for the finish, it was medium long with caramelized sugar. And then finally, number 4, last place. Very faint. On the nose. I had to dig my nose into that thing, and I could barely get anything. And what I got was not all that pleasant. Modeling clay. It was herbal. I wrote spa waiting room. Light petrichor, pencil shavings, and a little bit of paint. So, not the greatest nose out there, unfortunately. On the palate, pineapple soda, those candy gummy peach rings, and apple, and also cut grass. On the finish, I put medium sweet, got some cough drop, dry oak, and slight bitterness at the very, very end. Okay, so as far as my picks are concerned, remember number 1, 2, 3, 4. I think number 1 is the Black Snake. I think number 2 is the As We Get It. Please stay on the bar. Please don't fall off. Now, I think third place is the Dalmore, and I think the last place is the Glen Murray. But here are the answers, and let's find out. So let's really quick. Number 1 is yellow. Yellow is the As We Get It. Okay, shit. Womp. So I assume we're just going to be swapping these. This is number 2. That is pink. And the pink is, yeah, the black snake. 50-50 chance. I blew it. All right, so third place I'm predicting is the Dalmore. That is green. And that's the Glenmurray. Son of a bitch. I was wrong on all of them. All right, I'll get a little swapperoonie. Man, that's disappointing. God, you think just on paper this thing sounds like a banger, but it was disappointing. Very disappointing. When put together with all of these. I think maybe if I just kind of took it by itself and focus on it with no other things to compare it to, it probably will change a little bit. In my opinion, will change. But that was a bummer. The thing is, I have another independent bottler from Joy Whiskey. It's a 9-year-old Bunnahabhain, peated Bunnahabhain. It's more of the same, underwhelming, and not that good. So anyways, do you know anything about any of these that I didn't mention? Have you heard of any of these? Have you heard of the Joy Whiskey Company? Have you heard of that Shanghai distribution company? And have you tried any of these? I haven't tried the peated one of the As We Get It. Is that any good? Do you like it? And that's pretty much all I have for now. Thanks for kind of hanging out and enjoying the fun with me. I wish I had someone to do this with. But here in China, not a ton of whiskey drinkers just yet, but we'll change that. Right on, guys. Well, thank you very much for watching to the end, and we'll see you on the next one.